What's going on, everybody? Tom here with Black Sheep Keto, and welcome to a different style of review video. Today we're going to be doing a cook along with all of these Kiss My Keto baking mixes. Now, I did ask you guys in my last video which one you wanted to see me make, and the majority of the answers were between the brownies and the snickerdoodles, but I've decided I'm actually just going to make all three of them. And the format of the video is kind of going to be like this. I'm going to take one of them, we're going to go through the nutrition information, the ingredients, bake it, and then move on to the next one, and at the end I am going to taste all of them. Also, I did talk to the people over at Kiss My Keto, and they're willing to do a giveaway tied to this video. So that is awesome, and I will explain to you guys here in just a second how you can win your own batch of Kiss My Keto baking mixes. Alright guys, time to start with the most important thing, and that is the giveaway. So what I am going to be doing as soon as this video goes live is I'm going to post something to my Instagram at Black Sheep Keto with detailed instructions on how to win this. You're probably just going to have to, like the picture, tag someone, something like that. Now I know you guys hate it when I do like the YouTube and Instagram kind of cross thing, but I do have a good reason for it. Last year, YouTube removed my ability to direct message people. What does this mean for you? Well, if you guys win and I ask you for your information, you have to leave it publicly in the comment section. So whether that is your email address or your home address, whatever it is, that is now out there for everybody to see. And I'm not cool with that. So Instagram has not removed their direct message feature, and I don't think they ever will. But anyway, it's much easier for me to select a winner there and send you a direct message privately to get your information while kind of keeping your stuff private. So that is why I'm sorry if you guys don't have an Instagram, but that's just how we're gonna have to do it. Now, of course, guys, if you don't win the giveaway or if you just want to get your hands on some right away, you guys can go to the Kiss My Keto website and use the code BLACKSHEEPKETO. It will save you 10% off, and it will give me a little bit of money to help support the channel. There's also going to be a link down in the description where you can get there as well. So if you guys are interested in these baking mixes, please do that, and it'll help me out quite a bit. In any case, let's get rolling on this video. So we're going to start this video with the brownies since they take the longest to bake. Now, since all of these bake at 325, it'll be super easy just to preheat my oven and not have to touch it again. But now let's look through the ingredients and the nutrition information on the brownies first. And I'm just going to kind of step off to the side and put it right here next to me. So this box makes 12 brownies. So for one brownie, it is 40 calories, 3 grams of fat, 11 total carbs, of which 5 are fiber and 5 are allulose. So that leaves you with 1 gram of net carb and 5 grams of protein. Now, a couple things. First of all, those of you guys who don't know much about allulose, I did a full video on it, and I even ate like 50 grams of it just to show that it doesn't do anything to my body, and it kind of matched the studies we were seeing out of South Korea. If you're interested in that, there'll be a video link right there talking all about allulose. Now to get to the ingredients. First ingredient is allulose. Second ingredient is a soluble tapioca fiber. Now I'm going to pause right there because I've always had a knee-jerk reaction to tapioca fiber because for a while there, companies were hiding IMO as a tapioca fiber. And basically what that meant is they were taking something that does spike your insulin and decided to try to mask it under something that looks like a fiber. Now, thankfully, about, a year ago or so, the FDA changed regulations on that, and basically, if it says tapioca fiber, it has to be a fiber now. They can't play this game with hiding IMO or isomaltooligosaccharides. They can no longer hide that under the guise of tapioca fiber. So the tapioca fiber in this, I'm assuming now meets the FDA regulations, and it is actually a proper fiber, not to be confused with the previous kind of issue that was going on where people were putting a sweetener as a fiber. Next up is almonds, cocoa powder, medium chain triglycerides, MCT oil, acacia gum, sea salt, xanthan gum, and monk fruit. So everything in here is pretty good, I think. Again, I always have a knee-jerk reaction to soluble tapioca fiber just because of what used to be done with it. But I think I kind of have to start easing up on that reaction now that there's better regulation in place on what they can label as soluble tapioca fiber. But all in all, 1 gram of net carb per brownie. I kind of hope they're good because that's pretty awesome. Alright guys, we're going to be starting off with the brownies here. And in this bowl, I have 1 stick of melted butter and 2 eggs, plus the baking mix. That is literally all that goes into this recipe. So to start things off, we have our melted butter, and we're just going to crack our 2 eggs directly into our melted butter and give it a whisk to combine them. Now that looks good to me, so we're going to go ahead and add our baking mix. And now that's looking pretty good. So we're going to pour it into a greased 8x8 baking dish. Now I just greased this with some spray-on coconut oil, but you can pretty much use whatever you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and smooth this, and then we're going to pop it in our oven for between 30 and 35 minutes. Now my oven tends to bake things a little bit quicker, so I'm going to start with 30 minutes and then check it with like a fork or a knife or something, and determine if it needs that extra 5 minutes or not. Alright guys, while those brownies are cooling, it is time to make the Snickerdoodle cookies. So once again, let's look at the macros and ingredients on this. So I'll step aside, put it right here. So this does make 12 cookies. For one cookie, it is 5 grams of fat, 60 total calories, 5 grams of fat, 7 total carbs, of which 3 are fiber, and it looks like 2 are allulose. So that leaves you with 2 grams of net carb per serving, and 3 grams of protein. Not bad at all. So basically talking 2 net carbs for a cookie. I'm actually surprised that this is higher than the brownies, because to me brownies seem like a more rich treat than a Snickerdoodle cookie, but it might have something to do with that kind of like cinnamon sugar coating on them. In any case, let's look at the ingredients. So starting off, we have almonds, allulose, soluble tapioca fiber, coconut flour, cinnamon, medium chain triglycerides, gum acacia, baking soda, sea salt, xanthan gum, monk fruit, and cream of tartar. Really, it's kind of the same things that are in their brownies. It's just not chocolate flavored, and they added some cinnamon and stuff. But it looks like the base of all these baking mixes is going to be roughly the same. In any case, let's get these made. So we're moving on to the Snickerdoodle cookies, and this actually has a little bit less butter and a little bit less egg than the brownies did. So what we've got is the pack of baking mix, 1 egg, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter or coconut oil. And then I have an optional half teaspoon of vanilla extract that's in this bowl right here. And again, that is an optional ingredient, but I figure if they went through the effort to put it on the box, I may as well do it. And all we're really going to do is we're going to combine the egg and the melted butter with the vanilla in this giant yellow bowl, give it a whisking, add the baking mix, and then put it on this lined baking sheet for cooking. Now we have our butter, vanilla, and egg in here, and I'm just going to go and give this a whisking. Now as a note here, you definitely want to let that melted butter cool down a little bit before you add your egg. Otherwise, you're going to start cooking the whites of the egg as you whisk it, and quite honestly, that's just no fun. I did learn from the brownies that these packages don't exactly tear easily by hand, so I'm just going to cut it with a pair of scissors, and I think that's the best way to open these. And now we're going to dump this into our whisked egg and butter mixture, and kind of give this a good mixing. Now I suspect that I will eventually have to ditch this whisk and use a spatula, because, you know, it's a cookie dough, it should get relatively thick, so I'm just going to grab a spatula real quick and do that. Now this does smell really good. It actually reminds me of one of those like candied nut stands that you see at a fair, where it's like the almonds covered in that cinnamon and sugar coating. And I guess it makes sense because there's a lot of shared ingredients here. Now looking at this dough, it doesn't really feel like cookie dough to me. I suspect that this is a lot thinner than I was anticipating, and the reason for that, I'm guessing, and total guess here, is that you know how keto baked goods don't exactly like to spread out when you bake them? You kind of have to pack them flat. Well, perhaps it's a little bit moist here and a little bit wet so that it helps spread out on the sheet alone without you having to do that, but let's make them and see. So I'm going to be very honest with you guys right now. This whole process of making the cookie dough balls was a real pain in the butt. The box says to scoop them into like 12 balls, roll them, put them on the sheet, and then squeeze them flat. This dough is far too runny to do that. So I'm not sure if I did something wrong or the packaging is, you know, kind of not describing the process properly. But here's what I did to kind of make it work. I took my spoon and I just created 12 dollops, like evenly sized, spread out across the cookie sheet. That way I'm not actually like, you know, making a ball or creating a huge mess. It just made sense to just create a dollop on there. I'll reach out to Kiss My Keto and see what's going on with this, but I suspect that this is actually the proper consistency for the dough, and it's just poorly described on the box. But I'm going to pop them in the oven for about 14 minutes. So that means in about 15 minutes, we'll see if these things turn out. Alright guys, I'm just going to interject here for a split second. The brownies and the shortbread cookies are still baking, but I have the Snickerdoodles out right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Now they seem to have turned out great despite kind of the complications I had with the dough. So I was looking into it a little bit further. Now the box does say to roll into a ball, put it on the cookie sheet, and press it flat. I think that's kind of an inaccurate way to describe what you need to do. Take a spoon and dollop them into 12 dollops and they work out great. The dough is just too runny to form into a ball. Now, that's kind of a good thing in a way because as you guys know, keto baked goods don't really spread out. You have to kind of press them flat when you bake them, otherwise you'll end up with like a cookie ball, which hey, if that's what you're after, they taste pretty good that way too. In any case, this is runny enough that it just kind of flattens itself out. So I think had they not tried to describe it as rolling them into a ball and pressing it flat, I wouldn't have had kind of such a what the heck kind of reaction, because to me that means the dough has to be thick. This dough was not thick, but it did turn out really nice. So just a fair warning there, and maybe I'll even reach out to my people over at Kiss My Keto and say, hey, like maybe this is not the right way to describe it. In any case, let's wait for those other two to get done, and then we have to let them completely cool according to the box. Like all keto baked goods, they need to completely cool before you touch them. So I will catch up with you guys once they're all baked and cooled down. All right, guys, thank you for sticking with me up to this point. So the last thing we're gonna be making is these shortbread cookies. And it's interesting, I was looking at the back, they have like optional modifications to make these like chocolate chip cookies and things like that. So that is kind of cool. They provide modifications to make this something that it kind of, you know, could be repurposed as. I like that. Anyway, starting off at the top, it is, again, 12 cookies per package. It is 60 calories per cookie, 5 grams of fat, 7 total carbs, 3 grams of fiber, 2 grams of allulose, leaving you 2 net carbs per cookie, and 3 grams of protein. Now, the ingredients are basically the same as the others: almonds, allulose, soluble tapioca fiber, coconut flour, medium chain triglycerides, gum acacia, baking soda, sea salt, xanthan gum, monk fruit. So really, I mean, they're pretty clean. And honestly, I wouldn't have a problem eating any of these cookies. I know like I'm still gonna get people that have that knee-jerk reaction to the soluble tapioca fiber just like I do, but it's worth noting that the regulations have changed on this, and I think what we're getting here labeled as soluble tapioca fiber is actual fiber and not IMO under a different name, because that was outlawed last year. So if you're like me, we just have to learn to kind of calm that reaction a little bit. Anyway, let's get these made. So the last ones that we're going to be making are these shortbread cookies, and since the Snickerdoodles didn't turn out so great in terms of the consistency of the dough, I'm actually not going to be adding the half teaspoon of vanilla that's optional. I don't think a half teaspoon is enough to do anything, but I'm just not going to chance it. We're going to try just the plain recipe, which is 1 egg, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and the pack of baking mix. So let's get this mixed up and see how it all turns out. So just like the last one, we're going to go ahead and let that butter cool a little bit before adding our egg right on in there, and then giving this a nice whisking to combine it before we start adding our baking mix. So now we just need to combine our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients, and I am kind of keeping an eye on the consistency of this dough. It does look a little bit thicker than the Snickerdoodle dough, but it's not quite as thick as I was expecting. Now right here, I just have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and I'm just going to create the dollops. After learning from the Snickerdoodles and how we could not actually roll them into a ball and press it flat, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to create 12 dollops of cookie dough on this sheet, and hopefully that works out fine. So here are our 12 cookies. They're ready to go into the oven for 14 minutes. And I'm just looking at them here. They do look very similar to like the Snickerdoodles did. The dough was a little bit thicker than the Snickerdoodle, but it is a lot thinner than I was expecting for a cookie dough. And again, I didn't follow the directions. I just dolloped them because it seemed easier, but let's see how they turn out. All right, everybody, all of the baked goods are ready. Almost lost one there. So I've got the shortbread cookie, the Snickerdoodle, and the brownie. Now what I will say, first couple things. First of all, they turned out looking great. So that extra kind of liquidiness that was going on with the cookie dough, I think it worked out to be actually kind of in our favor because they did turn out to look pretty awesome. Next thing I want to talk about is the brownies. First of all, the packaging says it's to make 12 servings. This is a 12 serving brownie. Honestly, I would probably cut it into ninths if I'm being honest with you. I would take this thing, cut it into ninths, top it with, I don't know, some enlightened ice cream and some keto chocolate syrup that doesn't suck. By the way, guys, I have a recipe for a awesome keto chocolate syrup because we hated the stuff from Hershey's and Walden Farms. So we made our own that's like super keto and super easy. If you guys are interested, let me know and I will release that sometime coming soon. Anyway, let's go and give these things a shot. So I am going to start with the Snickerdoodle. Now, obviously, it's not the Snickerdoodle that you're used to where it's like a sugar cookie rolled in cinnamon and sugar. But it looks like the cinnamon sugar is obviously mixed in. So let's give this one a bite first. So it does taste like a Snickerdoodle cookie. The cinnamon is actually fairly prevalent, but not overpowering. It has a nice snap to it and a nice chew to it. So it's kind of like this crust exterior, and then the inside's a bit chewy, almost exactly like you'd expect from a cookie. So I think I may have kind of been unfair to these earlier when I was throwing a fit about the batter being weird. They're actually really good. Moving on to the shortbread cookie here. Now this one I made just as is, but the box had some like other recipes where you add chocolate chips, add coconut, various things. This is just the plain shortbread cookie. So let's give it a bite. See, that one reminds me more of a sugar cookie. When I think of shortbread, I think of something that's kind of like really brittle and falls apart, crumbly. These are still very chewy. It does have some nice bite to it. Very, very kind of buttery flavor. I really do enjoy that. But I think next time what I would do is I would take some of the optional things that they have in the box, like adding some chocolate chips to it or something like that. There's nothing wrong with this cookie. I think it's great. I would snack on it just as is. But I don't know, I feel like it's kind of missing something, and I think those extra recipes are there for that reason. And lastly, our tiny piece of brownie, and let's give this a bite. All right, that's the best of them all. Hands down, brownie beats the cookies. The actual brownie is probably the best keto brownie I've ever had. It is nice and chewy. Very, very, almost like a fudge brownie in a way. It's kind of got like a creamy texture to it. It's not super bready, but it's very, very moist. In all honesty, yeah, I would top this with some ice cream and some chocolate syrup and just make like a brownie sundae. But of the 3 recipes, I have to say the brownie is my favorite because I have found it very hard to make a good keto brownie, and that is a good keto brownie. As far as the cookies are concerned, the cookies are both very good, but I think you could probably make something at home if you wanted to, although it is more convenient to buy the baking mixes. But definitely, if you guys are just like trying to pick up one baking mix, get these brownies, use the link in the description, and use the code BlackSheepKeto. It'll save you 10% and help out the channel a little bit. And if you're already gonna buy them, you may as well help me out, right? In any case, yeah, those brownies are fantastic. The cookies are good, but definitely get the brownies. So where does it leave us with this weird kind of cook-along review style video that I'm somehow piecing together? First of all, let's talk about the ingredients. Now, they all pretty much have the same ingredients, less maybe some cocoa powder or some cinnamon that makes them unique. But all in all, they pretty much have the same base, which makes this actually really easy. The ingredients are good, guys. I'll give it a 5 out of 5. Now, me a year ago would have been really hesitant about that soluble tapioca fiber. But since recent legislation has made it very, very difficult for people to hide things like IMO as tapioca fiber, we can trust that it is a true fiber that is not going to be absorbed. So I think it's safe to give that a 5 out of 5 ingredients. I know I don't do that very often, but I just couldn't find anything in there that I can definitively say like that's not great. Like everything in there is pretty good. Moving on to the taste. The cookies, I'll give them a 3.5 out of 5, both of them. The Snickerdoodle, like, it was good, but I wish it had been like rolled in some type of a coating. The shortbread cookie, I think if I had done one of the optional recipes, like added some chocolate chips or coconut or whatever other optional recipes they had on there, it would have been better. It's still good. I'd still snack on it, but I wasn't just like blown away by it. The brownie, on the other hand, gets a 5 out of 5. This is like the best keto fudge brownie I've ever had, and like I've even tried to make my own. I don't know what they did in this thing, but it's delicious. So hopefully that kind of gives you guys an idea where we're at. Everything's good on the ingredients. The cookies are good. If you don't want to make them yourself, they're a good option. But geez, if you want a brownie, I'm serious, like I can't even explain to you guys how many times I'm gonna say this. The brownie is kick ass. But with that, guys, I am gonna go ahead and close up this video. So as always, guys, if you like this video, leave it a like. If you have any questions or comments for me, leave them down in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed yet, do me a huge favor, guys, hit that subscribe button, show some love, and I will see you in the next one.